Imagine you just built a retirement spreadsheet. You've been plugging in your monthly contributions, assuming a standard market return, and projecting out your net worth. But as you scroll down the years, you see a row that you are absolutely sure is a typo. According to your math, it takes you almost 19 years of packed lunches, skipped vacations, and grinding away to save your first $250,000. 19 years. But when you look at the next part of the spreadsheet, the journey from $250,000 to $1 million, the math says that part takes almost 3 years less time. Let me repeat that. Earning the next $750,000, 3 times the amount of money, actually happens faster than earning the first $250,000. You check the formulas. You assume you dragged the decimal somewhere. You didn't. The row is fine. This isn't a video about manifesting wealth or trusting the process or buying a real estate course. This is a video about one specific arithmetic threshold where the math quietly changes hands. The point where you stop pushing the boulder up the hill and gravity starts pulling it down the other side for you. Today, we're looking at the math behind why $250,000 is halfway to $1 million, and I'm going to give you the exact number you can calculate right now to figure out if this rule is true for you or if it's a total lie. Hit the like button and let's get into the math. First, let's define this claim properly, because the internet loves to throw it around like it's a law of physics. Obviously, $250,000 is not halfway to $1 million in dollars. In dollars, you are exactly 25% of the way there. The claim is about your time. It says the years you spend clawing your way from $0 to $250,000 will roughly equal the years it takes to go from $250,000 to 7 figures. It sounds insane because the second leg is 3 times larger. But here is why it's mathematically possible. Going from $250,000 to $1 million is exactly 2 doublings. $250,000 becomes $500,000. $500,000 becomes $1 million. And the beauty of compound interest is that a doubling doesn't care how big your number is. Doubling $40,000 and doubling $400,000 take the exact same amount of time at the same interest rate. The market does not charge you extra for bigger numbers. Let me introduce you to our hypothetical investor for today. We'll call her Bernadette. Bernadette is 31. She makes an average salary, and she puts $500 a month into a basic target date index fund. That's her entire strategy. She doesn't check her app, she just lets the $500 automatically transfer every single month. If we assume a historical 7% inflation-adjusted return, how long does it take Bernadette to cross $250,000? 19 years and 7 months. That is a brutal sentence to hear out loud. She's going to be 50 years old before she hits that milestone. For most of those 19 years, her investment account is just going to look like a glorified savings account. By year 3, she has about $20,000. By year 5, around $36,000. It feels incredibly slow. She is putting in $6,000 a year, and the market is handing her absolute pocket change. Which brings us to year 7. This is the danger zone. Year 7 is where Bernadette nearly ends this entire story. She opens her app and sees $54,000. She does the math and realizes that she personally handed over $42,000 of that money. 7 years of sacrificing, and the market's entire contribution is a measly $12,000. This is the moment where most people quit. Not during a market crash, not during a panic, just on a random Tuesday when they look at a balance that doesn't look like it was worth the sacrifice.
They quit while being completely right about the arithmetic in front of them. What they are wrong about is thinking that this arithmetic is the whole picture. Bernadette doesn't quit, and that is the only interesting decision she makes, and the only one you need to copy. So, from that $250,000, how long until she has $1 million? Still investing $500 a month, still getting 7%. 16 years and 10 months. Let that sink in. It took 19 years and 7 months to build the first $250,000. It takes 16 years and 10 months to build the next $750,000. Her back half is 3 times the money, and it's almost 3 years faster. For Bernadette, the milestone isn't just halfway, it's better than halfway. She is officially over the hump, even though no alarm bells went off to tell her. So what exactly happened here? It feels like cheating. I want to show you the actual mechanism instead of just waving my hands and saying the word compounding like it's magic. There is a specific balance at which your portfolio starts earning more in a single year than you put into it. We call this your crossover. It's the day your money out-earns you. You find it by taking what you contribute in a year and dividing it by your expected return as a decimal. Bernadette puts in $6,000 a year. 6,000 divided by 0.07 is roughly $87,500. The day her balance touches $86,000, her portfolio starts contributing more to itself every year than she does. She essentially becomes the junior partner in her own retirement account. Nobody sends you a letter when this happens. There's no confetti on your investing app. It just happens quietly. By the time Bernadette hits that $250,000 mark, her account is throwing off around $17,500 a year in growth, while she is still only putting in her $6,000. Her money is outworking her nearly 3 to 1. Her grind didn't end because she got a massive raise. It ended because she stopped being the primary engine of her wealth. Now, here is where I have to be completely straight with you. This halfway claim is not universal. It is highly conditional. Let me introduce you to Lowell. Lowell makes great money and he's aggressive. He invests $2,000 a month every single month, also getting 7%. Lowell hits $250,000 in 7 years and 10 months. Bernadette needed almost 20 years. Lowell did it in under 8. If you're Lowell, you're feeling pretty great right now. But how long does Lowell need to go from $250,000 to $1 million? 11 years and 8 months. For Lowell, $250K is not halfway in terms of time. His back half takes 50% longer than his front half.
Why? Ron's crossover math, he puts in $24,000 a year. $24,000 divided by 0.07 is nearly $343,000. When Lowell crosses the $250,000 mark, he is still the engine. His deposits still outrank the market's growth. He hasn't handed over the wheel yet. The honest truth is this: $250,000 is halfway only when your contributions are modest enough for the market to be forced to do the heavy lifting, which statistically describes the overwhelming majority of people watching this video. The less you can afford to put in, the more true this mathematical rule is for you. Bernadette gets the better deal on time exactly because she had to lean on compounding instead of a massive paycheck. Which brings us to the exact number I promised you at the start of the video. How do you know which side you fall on? Here's the ultimate rule of thumb. The milestone is halfway to $1 million when your crossover is half the milestone, which means you can skip all the complicated math and just ask one question. What does $250,000 earn in a year at your expected return? At 7%, it earns $17,500. Now, cut that in half. $8,750 a year, or exactly $729 a month. That is your line. If you are investing under $729 a month, your $250,000 is halfway or better, and your back half to $1 million will be the easier, faster climb. Legendary investor Charlie Munger famously said years ago that the first $100,000 is a B, but you have to do it, and after that you can ease off the gas. If you adjust Munger's $100,000 for inflation, it's about $225,000 today. The internet didn't make up the 250K rule, they just adjusted Munger's rule for modern inflation. If you are under that line, there is a reward waiting for you that almost nobody ever talks about because almost nobody stays in the game long enough to collect it. Let me show you the most absurd number in this entire concept. Take Bernadette. Imagine the day she crosses $250,000. She loses her job, or she has a kid and decides to stay home, or she takes a massive pay cut to work a dream job. She stops investing completely. She never adds another dollar to her retirement account for the rest of her life. At 7% growth with absolutely nothing added, that $250,000 becomes $1 million in 20 years and 6 months. If she gets her $250,000 invested by her late 30s and never adds another cent, she is still completely on track to be a millionaire by her late 50s.
The most consequential financial work of your life is the part where you do absolutely nothing, and it happens directly after the part that felt like an endless grind. Now, before we wrap up, I owe you the uncomfortable truth. Everything we just talked about assumed a smooth 7% return. Reality does not do smooth. First, average returns are a statistical fiction. The market doesn't neatly hand you 7% every year. Sometimes it hands you 20%. Sometimes it hands you negative 15%. If a lost decade happens before your crossover, it's actually fine. You're buying shares on sale. If it happens after your crossover, it can add years to your journey. Second, inflation is constantly moving the finish line. $1 million in 20 years won't buy what $1 million buys today. You need to aim higher than the number in the title of this video. And finally, fees. This is entirely in your control. If Bernadette takes her $250,000 and puts it in a mutual fund charging a 1% fee instead of a low-cost index fund, it drops her net return to 6%. That tiny 1% fee, printed so small on a statement you need reading glasses to see it, just cost her 3 years and 4 months of compounding time. 1% charges you twice and discloses it once. Keep your fees near zero. If you look at your account right now and you are stuck in the grind, years 3 through 7, where the balance is real money but the growth is invisible, you are not failing. You are doing exactly what it takes. The system is not built so your first $250,000 is easy. It is built so your first $250,000 is the entire test. Your savings rate is your only lever right now. It feels like pure grind because it is pure grind. But once you hit your crossover, your job changes from producing to just simply not interfering. That spreadsheet you built doesn't contain a magic trick. It just shows you the exact date the math stops being about you and starts being about time. The first $250,000 was never the achievement. It's just your receipt for surviving the part where it was all on you. Keep going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.